Jason, the March Madness bracket is officially unveiled. UNC beat San Diego State last night in the first play-in. So we figured we have a little fun with this today. We're going to use Akron, the hometown kids, the 13 seed Akron Zips, won the MAC in dramatic fashion. They're heading out to Seattle to play Arizona in the first round. And they're a good team. Make no mistake, they're a good team, Jason. But we decided which of the Cavs players, if you were to put on Akron right now, so currently how they're playing right now, drop them onto that team, could Akron win the national championship, Jason? And we're going to start from the bottom up. No, we're going to start from the top down, from Donovan on down to see how many players in the Cavs we think we could drop on the Akron Zips roster and see if they can win a national championship. So,
spoiler alert, I don't think it's that many.
I don't either.
All right.
I'm curious to see where you draw the line. And there's one guy that I'm torn on, and I hope you can talk some sense into me because maybe I'm too high on it than not. But let's start with Donovan. If you put Donovan on Akron right now, could the Zips win a national championship?
Yes, 100%.
I agree. Darius Garland, if he was on Akron, could Akron win the championship?
That might be my list. Honestly, that might be my list. I mean, Darius, he's a point guard. I mean, for the sake of the exercise, he could get him to the Final Four. He's getting him to the Final Four. I guess. I mean, I'll say yeah.
If you think he can make the Final Four, then you think he can win a championship.
All right,
so that's a yes then.
All right, that's fair.
I also think Darius is a yes. I've seen NBA guys grasping at air trying to stay in front of Darius Garland. I've seen Darius make 7 dozen threes from deep NBA range. I've seen how poorly some of these college basketball teams can shoot, Jason. Yeah. I think point guard play more than anything else, the most important position in March Madness. Darius would be the best point guard in college basketball, bar none, by a lot.
Oh, for sure.
If you have the best point guard in college basketball, you have a chance to win any game. So I do think Darius would be a good enough player to lead Akron.
I'm going to change this then because you're right. If you can make the Final Four, you can win a national championship. I'm basing this on who can get them to the Final Four.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Same end goal.
All right. Evan Mobley, in my head, it makes it different. I don't know why, but that's just the way my brain operates. So I'll agree with you. Darius gets him to the Final Four.
If you put Evan Mobley on Akron, could they come out of the region?
They're a Final Four team. Yeah.
I agree. I feel like Evan defensively in college right now would be Anthony Davis-esque, but he's much better offensively now than Anthony Davis was back at Kentucky. I think him alone could be enough to just completely disintegrate an opposing team's offense. Even the better offenses in college basketball have no answer for Evan Mobley.
And what's wild is in the old days, he would be a rookie in the NBA this year. Last year would have been his senior year. That's wild.
All right, so we're 3 for 3. Here's where I think it's fun. Does Jared Allen on Akron make it a Final Four?
No.
I agree.
No.
I agree. I think they could win a couple of games, but I'm not sure if Jared – and remember, it's current status, so he's a hurt right hand. I'm not sure if a 1.5-handed Jared Allen is good enough to counteract the lack of talent that Akron has against some of the other top teams in that region.
I mean, he'd have 25 rebounds a game or more. Shit, he can get 25 in the NBA. He might have 30. But I don't know that – I don't know you're going to run your offense through Jared Allen. You know, I don't – they get to the Sweet 16. They for sure get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think they're beating Arizona. They're pulling an upset. They're a Cinderella, a nice run. But
yeah,
if you have to rely on Jared Allen to run offense through Jared Allen to score 25, 30, even against college kids, he can do it. But can he do it 4 or 5 games in a row? That's where I'm not sure. That's why I'm a little hesitant with Jared Allen. Let's go to DeAndre Hunter, Jason. If you put DeAndre Hunter, a national champion in his own right, at Virginia, onto the Zips, is that 3-and-D size, length, versatility, and scoring ability enough to lead Akron to a Final Four?
No, I think for me, I think we've hit the end of the list.
Okay.
You disagree? You think Hunter could?
I can be talked into Hunter. I think at 6'8", he's an ISO scorer. So you could basically play 1-on-5 on that end and just have 4 guys back to play defense. If he's hot, now once again, this comes down to can they do it 5 games in a row, basically? Can DeAndre lead a team? I could be talked into this one either way. I'm not 100% confident, but I've seen DeAndre go hot enough that I think on those days they can beat anybody.
And I mean, he could play like Jarrett can't play as many minutes probably as DeAndre. If it's a 40-minute game, DeAndre's going to have to play 38 minutes.
He's playing 40. No, he ain't coming out.
You know what? You might be right. Because they got so many TV timeouts in college that you can get your rest. Then you might be right. All these guys may have to play the entire game.
Yeah. I'm torn on the fence with DeAndre. I can talk myself into it if we want. You know what? I'll say yes. I think DeAndre on Akron, just because he's like, who's guarding DeAndre Hunter?
Yeah, I'll go back to my Final Four. I guess maybe he could get him to a Final. Yeah, he could get him to a Final Four.
All right, Ty Jerome.
Especially in today's college.
Yeah, Ty Jerome.
No, I can't get there.
I think Ty Jerome. Do you remember Marshall Henderson on Ole Miss a couple of years ago?
Yeah,
he went crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Ty Jerome won a national championship. So shout out to Ty. And he talked about, he was on the Rosillo podcast a couple weeks ago, and he talked about how he was on the team that lost to the 16 seed. He was on that 1 seed. Virginia lost and then came back the next year, won a championship.
Yep.
And he talked about how difficult it was to move on from that, and then the gratification that came with then winning the next year. But he said the tournament is such a hard thing to overcome because of the schedule, the uncertainty of who you're going to play. You don't have time to scout. By the end of it, your body's just broken down. Like he goes, the Final Four, if you want the best caliber basketball, give us another week. Like we're playing 8 games or 4 games in 8 days, basically, at the highest of high levels with no off time. It's absurd. I think Ty can win a game or 2. We've seen Ty win a game or 2 for Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Can he do that 4 or 5 games in a row? That may I want to say yes, but I know that's probably the wrong answer.
Yeah, no, I think it's a no. And they'll never extend March Madness because it bleeds into the Masters. CBS needs that following week for the Masters, and they're never going to move the Masters. So the schedule is what it is for March Madness. I hear what he's saying, and he's not wrong.
Yeah,
I remember covering Ohio State's run to the national title game against Florida in 2006. And how exhausted those guys were, and how, because I mean, in college, you're not used to playing that type of, it's like an NBA type schedule.
Yeah.
And guys aren't, with the travel involved and everything else, college basketball teams aren't used to playing that rigorous schedule. Then all of a sudden, from really your conference tournament on, it's all basketball. And by the end, man, these guys are beat up and exhausted. So I hear what he's saying, and he's not wrong, but it'll never happen. And
real quick, I'm just going to name the rest of the guys, Jason. That's where I draw the line on my list, but Wade, Tyson, Okoro, Merrill, Javante, Porter Jr., Strus. I'm at a no for all of them. I don't think 4 games.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
The more I think about with DeAndre, I agree with you. I think DeAndre gets him to the Final Four. You can see it now. He's College Player of the Year. He's averaging 33 points a game, and he's unstoppable. And I say DeAndre gets him to the Final Four. But I don't think Jarrett does. Evan, DeAndre, Donovan,
and Darius.
I'm grudging on Darius, but Darius.
And just because every time I've said Ty Jerome can't do something, he's proven me wrong and done it. I'm going to add Ty Jerome and make it 5 for me. But I certainly know that that's probably the wrong opinion. Jason, that's going to wrap it up here for another edition of Cavs and Coffee. The Cavs back in action tonight against the Phoenix Suns, the second night of a back-to-back. Do you anticipate a better performance from Cleveland coming off the loss to Los Angeles last night?
Hard to say. Second night of a back-to-back. We'll see if everybody plays or if they rest anybody. But yeah, I think they were so poor in the second half that they'll come back with a better effort tonight. Real quick, I meant to say this earlier. I filled out my bracket.
Who you got?
I did all coin tosses. I flipped a coin for every game. So I have my Final Four is Creighton, Liberty, Grand Canyon, and Purdue.
Love it. Well, hey, we have the UCSS bracket challenge on ESPN, Jason. So make sure you submit that.
I will load this up.
It is free. It costs $0.00. The link is on our community tab. The password is UCSS, so you can get in. But it is free. It's for bragging rights. Submit your bracket.
I don't think I'm going to win with Purdue against Grand Canyon in the national championship game, and Purdue is a national champion. But hey, you never know.